My name is Sarah Jenkins. I'm 38 years old, and I'm an estate planner. The polished mahogany table in Mr. Henderson's office felt like a battleground, not a place for grieving. My sister, Bethany, sat opposite me, her eyes red-rimmed, but with a hard glint I knew too well. Our mother, Eleanor, had only been gone 3 weeks, and already the vultures were circling, though in this case, the most insistent one was family. Mr. Henderson, our mother's longtime attorney, cleared his throat, adjusting his reading glasses. As the will clearly states, the penthouse apartment is to be sold, and the proceeds divided equally between both beneficiaries, Sarah and Bethany. A heavy silence descended, broken only by the hum of the air conditioning. Then Bethany slammed her palm flat on the table, making the legal documents jump. No. That's not right. Mom promised me the penthouse. She told me, Sarah, that it was mine. You don't need it, you have your own successful life. I'm the one who needs a fresh start. My breath hitched, a cold knot forming in my stomach. I wanted to scream, to lash out at her blatant lie, but I bit back the words. My mother had been meticulous, thoughtful, and fair. I knew the truth, and I had the proof. Bethany might think she could rewrite history, but a few quiet lines of text on a screen were about to prove her very, very wrong. To understand why Bethany's demand felt like such a betrayal, you need to know about our family, and especially about our mother, Eleanor. My father, Arthur, passed away suddenly when I was in college, leaving Mom with a modest inheritance and 2 daughters, one of whom, Bethany, was already showing signs of a lifelong struggle with financial stability. Bethany, for years my senior, had a history of jumping from one venture to another, a short-lived catering business, a boutique that never quite found its footing, a stint in real estate that ended with more debt than commissions. Each time, she'd land softly, cushioned by Mom's quiet support, a loan here, a rent payment there. Mom never complained, but I saw the strain. I chose a career in estate planning precisely because I saw the chaos and heartache that unclear wishes and family disputes could cause. I wanted to help people avoid that. After Dad passed, Mom decided to downsize from our suburban house. With my professional guidance, she invested wisely, eventually purchasing the penthouse apartment on the 15th floor of a downtown building. It wasn't opulent, but it had a stunning view of the city skyline, a view she cherished, especially at sunset. It represented her independence, her careful planning, and her future. We'd spent countless evenings there, watching the city lights come alive. She'd often say, "This view, Sarah, it reminds me of everything I've worked for, everything I want to leave behind." When Mom was diagnosed with a rapidly progressing illness 6 months before she died, she faced it with characteristic pragmatism. She called me and Mr. Henderson, her lawyer, and together we reviewed her will and her financial arrangements. She wanted everything to be clear, unambiguous. She explicitly stated that the penthouse, her most significant asset, should be sold, and the proceeds divided equally. "I want both my girls to have a clean slate," she'd told me, her voice frail but firm. "No arguments, no favoritism. Just a fair split." I had helped her draft the necessary amendments, and she'd signed them with Mr. Henderson as a witness. Bethany was even present for some of these discussions, albeit briefly, often distracted by her phone. The first real crack in the facade appeared even before Mom's funeral. Bethany, who had moved into the penthouse to help Mom in her final weeks, though most of the actual care fell to a hired nurse and myself, began subtly changing things. She rearranged furniture, replaced some of Mom's art with her own, and started talking about my vision for the place. I brushed it off as grief, a need for control, but a small alarm bell went off. Then, at the initial will reading, when Mr. Henderson clearly stated the clause about the penthouse being sold and the funds split, Bethany's reaction was immediate and theatrical. "That can't be right," she cried, tears streaming down her face. "Mom told me she wanted me to have it. She said it was my fresh start, my new beginning after all my struggles." Her words were a direct contradiction to the will, and to everything Mom had meticulously planned. Over the next few days, Bethany's campaign intensified. My phone buzzed constantly with her texts, alternating between saccharine memories of Mom and pointed accusations. "Mom always worried about me, Sarah. You know that. She knew I needed this more than you. Or, you're so successful, you don't need mom's apartment. It's not fair for you to take half of what she wanted me to have. She even called me, her voice thick with fake tears, pleading, please, Sarah, don't make this harder. Let me have what mom wanted. She was still living in the penthouse, making it difficult for the real estate agent Mr. Henderson had hired to even get proper photos for a listing. She claimed she needed time to grieve there, to feel close to mom, but it felt more like she was digging in her heels, preparing for a siege. Then came the proof. Bethany invited me for coffee at a cafe near the penthouse. She looked tired, but her eyes held a triumphant gleam. She pulled out a folded piece of paper from her purse, a small, slightly crumpled note, written in what looked like mom's handwriting. It read, "The penthouse is for my dear Bethany. I want you to have it, my love." My heart sank. It looked like mom's handwriting, but something felt off. Mom's script, while elegant, had become shaky in her final months. This note, though slightly wavering, had a firmness that felt anachronistic. And the phrasing, "my dear Bethany, my love," was a bit more effusive than mom usually was in writing, especially for a legal instruction. She was always precise, direct. I took a photo of it with my phone, pretending to admire the sentiment. "That's lovely, Beth," I said, trying to keep my voice even. "I'll need to share this with Mr. Henderson, of course." Bethany beamed, convinced she had won. "See? I told you. Mom wanted me to have it." That handwritten note was the turning point. It solidified my suspicion that Bethany was not just mistaken, but actively fabricating evidence. My mother, the woman who had meticulously organized every financial detail, who had taken such care to ensure fairness, would not leave a crucial testamentary instruction on a crumpled note. She would have put it in writing with her lawyer, or at the very least, send a clear, dated email or text message. I remembered helping mom set up a secure digital vault for all her important documents and communications, including a specific folder for estate planning. She'd been so proud of learning how to use it. Back in my own apartment, I opened my laptop and accessed mom's cloud storage, which she had given me access to for estate purposes. I started with her emails, searching for keywords like penthouse, will, division. There were several exchanges with Mr. Henderson, all confirming the sale and equal split. Then I checked her digital calendar. There, clearly marked, were appointments for will review with Sarah and Mr. Henderson and estate discussion, Bethany invited. The latter appointment, 2 months before mom passed, had a note, Bethany present for discussion penthouse sale. Understood terms. Bethany had been there. She had heard the plan. But the most damning evidence, the phone documents that the title promised, was still on mom's actual phone, which I had kept after she passed, needing to clear out her digital life. I powered it on, a wave of grief washing over me at the sight of her wallpaper photo, a picture of us girls from years ago. I navigated to her messages app, then to my conversation with her. I scrolled back through months of texts, past mundane check-ins and expressions of love. And there it was, dated just a week before she signed the final will amendment. "Mom, just finished speaking with Mr. Henderson. Feeling good about the plan for the penthouse. It ensures you both have a fresh start." Me, glad to hear it, Mom. You've been so thoughtful about everything. Mom, it's important to be fair, Sarah. I want no confusion. The apartment sells, proceeds 50-50ths. No one gets preferential treatment. Bethany understood this when we talked last week, even if she seemed distracted. Me, she'll come around once it's all settled. Mom, I hope so. Just want peace for you both. There were several more exchanges like this, all reinforcing the clear intention. Not only did these texts directly contradict Bethany's claim, but they also explicitly mentioned Bethany's prior knowledge of the plan. The phone documents were irrefutable. I saved screenshots of the entire conversation, carefully noting the dates and times. I also found a digital note in her phone's notes app, titled Penthouse Wishes, which reiterated the sale and 50-50 split, dated months before the handwritten note Bethany had produced. The note even specifically stated, no individual promises outside of the will. Clarity is paramount. Armed with this evidence, I called Mr. Henderson. I explained everything, including my suspicions about the handwritten note. He listened carefully, his voice grave. "Sarah, this is significant. Very significant. Let's schedule a meeting with Bethany, and we'll lay everything out." He also mentioned that he had kept meticulous records of all his meetings with Eleanor, including the specific amendments to the will and the discussions around them. He was prepared to back me up. The meeting was set for the following Tuesday, back in Mr. Henderson's office. Bethany arrived looking smug, clutching her crumpled note. She clearly thought this was a mere formality before she claimed her prize. Mr. Henderson began, "Bethany, Sarah has brought some additional information to my attention regarding your claim about the penthouse." Bethany cut him off. "There's nothing to discuss. Mom's wishes are clear. I have her own words right here." She dramatically placed the handwritten note on the table, pushing it towards me. "See, Sarah? Mom wanted me to have it." I took a deep breath. "Bethany," I said, my voice calm, "I understand why you might think this. But Mom was very clear about her intentions, not just in her will, but in her other communications." I slid my phone across the table, open to the screenshot of the text conversation with Mom. These are texts from Mom to me, dated a week before she signed the final amendment to her will. As you can see, she explicitly states that the penthouse is to be sold and the proceeds divided equally. She even mentions that you were present for a discussion where this was made clear. Bethany's face went white. She snatched my phone, her eyes darting across the screen, her composure crumbling with each word she read. This isn't right. You manipulated her. You always did," she stammered, her voice rising. "Bethany," Mr. Henderson interjected, his tone firm, "Eleanor was a sharp, intelligent woman. She made her decisions clearly and legally. I personally witnessed her sign the amended will, which specifies the sale and equal division. Furthermore, my own notes from our meetings confirm these intentions. And," he added, looking directly at the handwritten note, "while this note appears to be in your mother's hand, its content directly contradicts her legally executed will and her documented statements. It also lacks any date or context that would give it legal weight, especially against a formal will and corroborating evidence." I then showed her the digital note from Mom's phone, titled Penthouse Wishes, and the calendar entry explicitly stating Bethany had been present for the discussion. The weight of the evidence was crushing. Bethany slumped in her chair, defeated. The smugness was gone, replaced by a raw, ugly anger that quickly turned to shame. She tried to argue, to deny, but her words lacked conviction. She knew she was caught. The silence in the room stretched, heavy and uncomfortable. Mr. Henderson finally spoke, his voice gentler now. "Bethany, the will is clear. The penthouse must be sold. Your mother's wishes, as documented, are unequivocal. Any attempt to contest this would be futile and costly." Bethany didn't say another word. She just pushed the crumpled note back into her purse, stood up, and walked out without a backward glance. The aftermath was painful. Bethany refused to speak to me for months. The penthouse was listed and sold within 2 months, and the proceeds were divided equally, just as Mom wanted. I deposited my share, knowing it represented Mom's legacy, not a windfall. The relationship with my sister was irrevocably broken. There was no grand apology, no reconciliation. Just a vast, empty space where a sister used to be. I felt a deep ache, not for the money, but for the loss of family, for the lengths Bethany had gone to betray Mom's trust and my own. A few weeks after the sale closed, I drove past the building where the penthouse had been. I didn't go up. I didn't need to. I remembered the view from the living room window, the city lights twinkling like scattered diamonds. For years, that view had represented Mom's dreams, her hard-won peace. For a brief, ugly period, it had become a symbol of greed and betrayal. But now, as I drove away, I saw it differently. It was simply a view, a memory, and a testament to the quiet strength of a mother's true intentions, protected by a few lines on a screen.